All right, I think we're now recording. So, salam everyone, peace and blessings to the people that's watching this. I'm Yaz. This is my brother Adeel, my twin brother, who's in London at the moment, suffering from the coronavirus. Those
Corona. Yep.
two words that we're dreading. I'm currently in Doha, Qatar. That's why we're speaking live online. But we felt we should do a video because there's a lot of misinformation out there regarding this coronavirus, or this flu on steroids, as I would like to call it. And Adeel has kindly given us access to ask him some questions regarding the symptoms, the misconceptions, just to clear a few things, really. So, Ad, give us the story. How did this all start?
So basically, I mean, firstly, I think just importantly to note that my experience is my experience, and not everyone is going to have the same experience with Corona. So, and this is just from seeing kind of the news and watching other people's experiences with it. But essentially, there are certain symptoms that you could relate to. Mine started over a week ago now. I think around Monday, Tuesday last week. It's now Sunday. Started just feeling. It's like when you get a flu, you start to feel a bit weak and lethargic, and things start building up in your body. You can just sense it. You can feel it. That's the kind of first kind of.
So it's normal symptoms of getting a cold or a flu. Feeling a bit weak.
Yeah,
tired.
kind of. I think kind of. Yeah, tired, weak. And I know it's different for some people, but that's what it started in me, and then it kind of gradually kind of went on to a headache, and then the headache wasn't like your normal typical headache. It was a very kind of heavy headache, which kind of turned into a body ache, basically.
Okay. And migraine style, or
no, not migraine style.
It was in your head that it was going?
It wasn't like a throbbing pain. It was just like a heaviness. It's like a heaviness. It's like, I mean, how I understand it now, like 7 days, 8 days later, it's your body basically is going to start reacting to whatever's in your system, and will do everything in its power. So you can just you know straight away that your body is doing something. But yeah, it started with the headache, and it just got progressively worse.
Okay, so so you got a headache. Did you start thinking, I'm getting ill, this could be coronavirus at that stage, or did you just ignore the symptoms?
No. I so still in London. We've got. I mean, it's obviously increasing a lot now, but you're still not going to think that you got corona. And I was home. I was home. I hadn't really been out very much, so I didn't think it was. And also, the symptoms that were on the press, the coughs, and the fevers, I didn't have any of those. I didn't have that at this point at the beginning. So, I wasn't too worried. But I think, maybe day 3, day 4, you're kind of thinking, well, actually, things are happening now that are kind of looking like more like it.
I mean, it's just like a flu, though. You don't just get a fever all of a sudden. You're feeling fine, and then fever just snaps at you. There is kind of some signs in your body that kind of lead up to that, whether it's a headache, maybe a tickle in your throat, maybe a build-up of mucus, and then it kind of develops.
Well, this is it. Yeah, I mean,
different to everyone. So this is why it's complicated. It's a bit different to everyone.
Yeah, I mean, like you've got your normal cold and flus, which we've all had that before. So what you're getting. So the phlegm, the blocked noses, the sneezing, the coughing, all of those things are just part and parcel.
So.
Yeah, keep drinking that. You'll need it. It's all part and parcel. The cold, the flus, all of this jazz. You know what to expect. So I've had colds and flus many occasions, and after a while, this is not the same. I mean, it's related, but it ain't the same. And you know when you get it, especially if you've got more of the hardcore symptoms, then you'll know. And I've spoken to other friends who are in the same boat, who also say the same thing.
Yeah, I've had a few people as well, both in Qatar, in Dubai, and the UK, telling me that like around last month they had a flu or had a cold, but it was like one of the worst they've ever had. It was, and then looking back in hindsight, people are saying, "Damn, I might have actually had it." I had something last month where my sinuses were horrible. My eyes, my nose. I had a really chesty cough, and it lasted for literally 2 weeks. I went to the doctors. I don't usually go to the doctors for flu, and he said I had sinusitis, which is quite a common thing worldwide. So maybe it was that, but who knows? I think there's a test that I've read that's being developed that will tell you if you've had coronavirus. So for people that want to actually check if they've had it, will
definitely
read the antibody. So I think that's coming anyway. So so you had a headache. When did the coronavirus stereotypical symptoms start then? When did you get to the stage where you called the hotline?
So after the headaches and the body aches, and that just this feeling of just lethargic feeling, where your body is just completely like you can't really move that much. I mean, I'm quite an active guy. I like to go to the gym, do exercise. I tried to do a push up. I couldn't even do one. And I can do quite a few.
I can barely do two.
You can barely do any, yes. I normally can do a few now, but because I stay active, but I couldn't even do one, and that was like, wow, okay, I am getting sick. And then one evening, I think maybe day 3, day 4, one night, I started getting these shivers and these chills, and these shivers and chills are like sorry,
in the night.
At night, yeah.
So when you're sleeping, or when you're going into bed?
When I'm sleeping. Well, that's the first one. Actually, the main ones throughout the whole illness was actually at night, and I'll go on to that a bit later. But so 3 o'clock in the morning, it's the same time every night. I'd wake up and have these horrible fevers. I'm completely sweating. I'd take my temperatures. It was kind of reaching. I think the highest I got was like 39.8 or something, or 39.7 or something like that. And then it would hover around 38 and then get back down to 37.
So what day was this? What day was this before you first realized you had the
This
headache?
This is like I'd say Wednesday, Thursday. So day 3. I'd say day 3, day 4 is when it all starts kicking in. But that's my experience. I've heard that it can take a couple of days for some people, or 2 weeks for some people. So
yeah, some people might have symptoms. They just kind of they carry on normally without actually affecting their lives. Like sometimes we have those light flus. For me, I get flu twice a year during the transition of weather, especially in Qatar. It's like 1 minute it's 50 degrees, the next minute it's 20 degrees. And those are the times I get ill with my flu, and it's quite bad. It lasts a week, I'm in bed, and I get it over and done with. But for some people, and it's the same with coronavirus, or COVID-19 as we should be calling it, it's just flying past them without even them really affecting their lives. So that's important as well. People got to realize it's your current state of body. So if your immunity is weak, and I think you were ill, right? So you had an infection of some sort? What happened to you?
Yeah, this is it. This is kind of really the important key point that I want to try and get out there, is that your immune system is basically all you have to fight this. You could help your body with the vitamins and the exercise and the good food. Of course, that's going to help your immune system. But if your immune system is low to begin with, then you're in a bit of trouble. To be honest, I had a bladder infection 2 weeks ago, so I was on antibiotics for this bladder infection. I was poorly. Bladder infection was really painful, and so my body was already dealing with an intruder. So I was an easy target. And this is the thing, like, you need to make sure that between now and the next couple of months that you're not doing anything to your body to invite the corona in, because it really does pick on the weakest and vulnerable. And I was at that state. And I'm sure people have had it, and because their immune system's so strong that they don't even realize it. And that's what the doctors actually said that I spoke to as well.
Okay, so We'll go into a little bit of that later on in terms of what we can do and what not to do, which is more important, I think, at this stage. So you had the fever at day 3 or 4. The chills. When was the day that you kind of thought, okay, this is coronavirus, and you started making the calls? Who did you speak to? How do you even know you have coronavirus? What?
Yeah. So after the fevers got more regular. So I'd have maybe 2 or 3 fevers, and it all happened mostly at night. But then I'd have them during the day, and then I'd have these like shivers and these chills that just affect your whole body. And literally, I mean, I've sat up in this bed shaking on my own for a good few hours in this week, and the feeling is just all consuming. So with the flu, it's all stuffy and it's very centralized where the pains are. But with this, it just takes over the whole body, and that's when I was thinking, yeah, this is not normal. So I had to call 111, the UK health emergency number, which is the alternative to like the 911 or 999. So this is less urgent. This is for people that have questions on symptoms and things, and So so that's
that experience. How was that experience? When should people actually call this number? Because we don't, this number is not designated to 5 million people.
It's not for no. So yeah, I mean, for me, it was my friends were all telling me to call it, and I didn't really want to, but because I didn't want to go to hospital, because basically, if you're showing any similar symptoms here, then you are advised to stay at home and self-isolate. No matter what symptoms they are, it could be a cough, it could be a fever. You're just asked to self-isolate. So you really should be calling 111 if you're over 65, you're vulnerable, you've got underlying health issues. But I mean, at that point, I was in so much pain and so much stress that I was like, I need to call someone to find out what's going on. And I think for me, the instigator was my chest. So I started developing these chest pains. It's very strange chest pains. They were kind of like niggling chest pains at first. So they weren't painful as such. It was just like niggling. So I could feel that there was something happening in my lungs. And it felt like, something is in there doing something. And then it moved on to like these sharp kind of stabbing pains across my lung. And that kind of continued. And I mean, even up until last night, really.
You've never had that before?
No, I mean, I've had chest infections before. And chest infections are very different because you're coughing, you've got the mucus coming out, you've got the phlegm coming out. That you've got that coughing pain as well. I mean, I know some people have had coughing pain with corona, but I didn't have that. But I know what a chest infection is, and it felt very different to that. It felt like my kind of entire chest or lung area was being kind of weakened, if you like, and everything began to turn sore. So then the reason I called 111 is because my breathing, when you take a deep breath, you can fill your lungs up, and I couldn't do that. I couldn't go all the way in. So my lung capacity decreased.
Did it start?
No, it didn't. No, it didn't hurt. The only time it hurt is when I breathed. When I took a deep breath in and I breathed out slowly, and I went all the way to the end. I could hear the fuzziness in my lungs, and that's when it started hurting, and that's when I broke into kind of coughing fits. So I don't advise people to do that. If you're on corona, don't do anything to your lungs to stimulate a kind of a coughing reaction, because it is so painful, and it just creates more stress for the lungs.
Yeah, I think I've actually seen some footage. I think it was in Iran of like a guy who was having a coughing fit on the floor. And it just looked painful, man. It just looked horrible. And it seems that if you get to that phase, it's very hard to stop. So okay, so that's don't breathe too deeply. Control your breath.
Well, yeah, it's just you just have to take deep breaths. But yeah, but I mean, I feel for the people that are really coughing, because I didn't have the coughing fits. I mean, I didn't have the coughing symptom, so I was quite lucky. And my lungs are. I've smoked for a long time, and I'm definitely not going back to that. But it does affect your lungs if you've been a smoker as well. And you can feel it. You can feel it in your lungs.
I think smokers suffer more for flu anyway. So I mean, it's common sense, and I think a lot of people now need to. I mean, for me as well, I've already stopped. I've got my patches on because I get very moody when I'm not smoking, and for the protection of my wife's mentality, I will wear patches and try and fight the urges, because I can already feel what you're feeling when it comes to being in that state. So you had a conversation with the individual. How long did it take for you to speak with someone on the 111 number? Who did you speak with? What was the conversation?
So yeah, you get through. I mean, I got through quite quickly. I mean, it was 4 a.m. when I called them, and you speak to kind of the first kind of initial point of contact, who basically just goes through some series of questions, and then you will be assessed essentially. If you basically tick some boxes that they're asking you, then you'll get through to another person. So for me, it was the fever, the chest pains, the chills and the shivers and all that kind of stuff. That's what kind of I think.
It's a qualification process, whether you tick enough boxes.
Yeah, exactly.
To the next stage.
Yeah.
And what kind of question? So, do you have a fever? Do you have a cough? Are you lethargic?
Exactly. I think the other question was, can you get up and do normal things? Are you bedridden? I think that's the other thing. I could not move. I was completely exhausted. Your body is just stuck in bed and can't move. So that's the other question that they ask you as well. And then because my breathing as well was being affected, I went through to another person, and then again they went through same questions again, really, and then they said somebody would call me back. I then went to sleep, and then maybe 4 or 5 hours later, someone did call me back, and it was a nurse who basically ran through similar questions. And then she said, the doctor, we think you need to speak to the doctor, and they will assign you a doctor from your local corona center. So I think every borough here has a corona center, or every hospital has a corona center, and they've got a doctor there maybe that will call people. I don't know the exact details, I could be wrong. But so I had to wait another 4 hours. I didn't get a call. So from 4 a.m., I got a call from the doctor at 3 p.m. the next day. At this point, my conditions was kind of still the same. And then we had a really lengthy chat. I think we were on the phone for up to 40 minutes, I think. I mean, she could talk as well. She was more than happy to help me with information on stuff, and it was quite a fruitful conversation.
Well, good for her. Blessings to her. So obviously they're hiring the right people to do that role.
Yeah.
So how did she conclude that you had corona and that you should self-isolate? This was made
so I think she was her questioning was obviously a bit more in depth than the other kind of general kind of symptom questions. So it was very much about asking me questions like do you have pain in your back? And I did, because your chest cavity is completely sore and it spreads to your back, and that's your whole entire chest cavity gets affected. Questions like that no one else asked. Breathing, fevers. I told her, the time of day I got the fevers, and she kind of, made a diagnosis based on that. She said that, she said it's obvious that this is corona. There was no other flu or illness that this could tick the boxes to. So, and it was very matter of fact. I think and this is the other important thing. Not everyone gets tested. The only people that get tested is if you go to London, if you go to hospital.
Yeah, of course. I mean, not everyone can be tested. I mean,
no.
I think,
and if you've got symptoms, you've got to isolate. There's no way of you getting tested.
Yeah, of course. That's the whole point. I mean, unless if you're elderly, hopefully you have people around you that will see that, okay, well, this could be corona, and they definitely need to call 111 sooner than maybe you did. But for people that's healthy, I mean, you could be 50, and I know many 50-year-olds are very healthier than I am. It's all about how healthy you are. It's not just an age thing, because we've seen in China and Japan and other places as well that a lot of older people are recovering from this. It takes them a little bit longer, but that's for every illness. So it's important that I think people understand that if you are sick and if you do have the corona, not to panic. It's just a flu, and dependent on your underlying health problems or situation, most of us will be fine. And I think what I've seen online and communication between WhatsApp groups and stuff like this, the panic is strong, and it increase when you panic. It's a negative state of being, right? So it only equates to negative situations like panic buying and hoarding, or this is just really selfish behavior. And I see that most of these people that are doing it are the ones that are unlikely to have severe symptoms or even pass away from this. So it's all the irony and hysteria, but it's actually worse. I've seen, because I'm in the Middle East, it's actually worse in the West. It really is. Like, in Qatar we have Indians, a lot of Asian groups. We have a lot of Arabs here from all over. We have Brits, Americans, and Europeans. It's a complete mix. And I think that's why Qatar really acted straight away. Like, we've been on lockdown for a little while now, but it's not a lockdown where, if we go out, we'll get shot kind of thing. We can go to the grocery store. People are still going to work, but the majority, 70%, are currently at home. All the restaurants are shut. Hotel bars and restaurants are shut. Gyms are shut. So we did that a while ago. But you have to understand, in Qatar, we're a very small place, and we are a travel hub. Qatar Airways, we've got flights from all over the world coming in every single day. So they had to kind of shut everything down. In London, it's a little bit different. It seemed that Boris wanted to look at this herd immunity situation, which when I first heard about it, I was like, this is terrible. It's a terrible idea, because there's a thin line between infecting enough people for them to kind of get over this at the first phase and then an outbreak. And we've seen an outbreak in Italy. Northern Italy is actually one of the wealthier parts, and their hospital infrastructure is actually very good. So it's not about the virus killing. It's about not being able to control and manage multiple people who become critically ill. So the more older people that get it, the more unhealthy and sick people get it, then this is what an outbreak is. For the majority of us, it's your situation, in bed, suffering from kind of a severe flu, or in a lot of more cases, just a mild flu. I know a girl in Dubai, an Australian girl. She was one of the first ones that was quarantined, but she said like it was a mild flu. It was like any other flu. She is quite healthy. She does a lot of fitness. She does a lot of yoga. She doesn't smoke. So for her, it was just another flu. So really, smokers need to be concerned, not to scare smokers. Yep. I've just quit smoking.
No, you need to scare smokers. Because smokers. Scare the smokers. Man. Sorry, smokers, you're in deep trouble if you carry on smoking. I'm not joking. You need to scare the smokers, because this is a respiratory illness, and if your lungs are full of tar and crap, then corona's going to have a whale of a time down there. So you need to back away from those cigarettes. I've heard stories. My friend works in Tesco's, and she said that people are stocking up on cigarettes for isolation.
Oh my God.
I don't know who these people are, but they I don't think they realise what's going to be coming knocking at their door anytime soon. So no smoking. I think anything that's going to compromise your immune system is forbidden. You should chuck that shit out. And also, alcohol. Alcohol's proven to lower your immune strength. So people, isolating themselves and buying loads of booze is not a good idea at all. You need to, for one time in your life, just be healthy. It's going to really help you in the long run.
This is nothing new. I think the world in general has gone to certain extremes of badness, whether it's pollution or consumption of meat and this and that. We've gone overboard. And when you tip the scales, then you're going to get outbreaks like this. This is nothing new. We've had several pandemics and epidemics in the last even 100 years.
Yeah.
And this has probably continued throughout humanity. Although probably even in the older times when they were eating more organically, didn't have as many plagues. Plagues were kind of big deals back then. Anyway, I think this is part of humanity, and it's just unfortunately our, the few generations that exist today are going through it, and we've got to deal with it. The system is on pause. The whole literally the planet Earth is just like paused. Literally, that's how I've seen it. Humanity.
I think we need it. But I think the other concern I have as well is that I think having the NHS in England is one of the most amazing things that we've got, and we take it for granted. So we've all gone to A&E with a scratch or whatever, just because it's there and it's free. And what I'm worried about is that if someone gets, if a lot of people get as ill as I was, the first instinct is like, I'm going to hospital. I can't deal with this, because it is pretty horrible. Like, I'm not going to lie. And I was thinking the same. I was like, sorry.
It's pretty horrible for yourself, right? And I'm sure many others. But again, we've got to stress that the majority will just have flu symptoms. They would,
totally.
Some will just go on normally. Some will go on normally.
I mean, what my point is if you have been as sick as I was, then stay indoors. Only seek medical care if you really, really need it. If your breathing is being compromised, then that's when you need to do it. But the fevers are going to come and go. The coughing is going to come and go. The chest pains are going to come and go. I think we just need to make sure that the most vulnerable in society have access to that need it the most.
Absolutely. All right, so let's go quickly on to some information. Okay, so this is Worldometer. So I think it's quite a good tool with the real-time numbers and figures for coronavirus cases. So currently we're at 318,556 deaths, 13,671, 96,000 have recovered, and that's actually primarily in Asia, by the way. China, Singapore, a lot have recovered. Now 318,000 represents confirmed
total cases.
You're not a confirmed case, are you? You're more of a
so basically, the doctor, obviously the doctor I was speaking to, she's obviously taking notes and recording everything about my symptoms, my name, my details. It's all on file. Obviously she's diagnosed me as a corona case, as a confirmed case. I don't know if that tallies up into this number, or if this number is total tested cases. So I know for sure that the tested cases is much lower than the actual cases, because you can't test everyone. I'm not too sure. We'll probably have to look into whether these numbers are, tested. These people tested, or these people.
I guess God only knows how many people have had it or currently have it. But if it's 318,000 confirmed cases via testing, I know that China and Singapore, South Korea, they're doing a lot of tests, thousands upon thousands a day. They're being very efficient with it. But if you look at 318,000, you would probably think, well, how many could it be that have had it in the last couple of months or have it at the moment? And you're probably hitting closer to 1 million. This is just my theory, So if you're looking at,
it's a lot. It's a lot more. I mean, the doctor told me that it's a lot more than the confirmed numbers. I think we were at 5,000 in England yesterday, I think, and she said it's much more higher than that. And
you've got football players with it. You've got people like you with it. Health.
I know at least three or four people in my circle that have got it. I mean, not like best friends, but Facebook friends or people that my acquaintances I know. 3 or 4 people know that I've got it quite bad. One of them had to call an ambulance last night, actually. So,
oh, really?
But yeah, the 3 or 4 people I know that have got it.
Okay. Now, if we look at these numbers here, what I've been looking at is this damn number here. This has been rising. I remember this was on 6 or 7%. but it's risen to 12%. And this is of closed cases, 109,000 cases which had an outcome. 96,000 or 88% has fully recovered discharge. 13,600 have died worldwide. Now, this number is very skewed. Looking at the surface, you think, damn, this virus has a death rate of 12%, but it's not the case. We have 208,000 active cases, of which 5% are serious or critically ill. 95% are in mild condition. But then you add the numbers that haven't been tested, which we probably can assume is more than the total number of covered cases here. So this percentage of deaths is definitely going to be much
Yeah, that's
lower.
totally skewed. Yeah, that's totally skewed. And the doctor told me that, you know, it's all skewed. The data's all skewed.
Right.
Yeah, it's all skewed. I mean, the doctor told me not to pay attention to the media and the news and the reporting, because, you know, you've got a death rate, a percentage there that is not reflective of the real numbers. So you can't put a number to it. And all that's going to do is that, you know, if you haven't got the real numbers and it's much higher, then that percentage is going to be completely wrong, and it's actually going to create more fear and panic than necessary.
Well, this is the thing.
And, you know,
I mean, fear and stress helps no one at the end of the day. So let's look at the new.
Well, it helps the governments. It helps the governments.
Oh yeah, it helps those that are in control and can manipulate the situation. I'm hearing people talking about
political situations.
A biomedical weapon. I don't believe so. I do believe in the Ike. What was this thing? Problem, reaction, solution. I think this is an organic problem, but there's still manipulation when it comes to reaction and solution. So the governments, corporations can, you know, make the most of this and make it a profiteering gain. We've already seen that even individuals are doing this. Your normal Tom, Dick, and Harry are buying bloody 1,000 sanitizers and selling it, you know, 4 times the price. So if individuals are doing it, your local neighbor is possibly doing it, then of course corporations and governments will be looking at the situation. Bankers, all these individuals might be looking at it, but you know, at the moment, all we can do is just remain calm, deal with the situation, be smart, and adapt. Now, new cases. Spain is going through a bad time. USA and Germany's climbing the numbers as well. I think Spain, just like Italy, is one of those cultures that are, you know, people are very close. They're kissing when they greet. There's always gatherings in those kind of cultural areas. So maybe that's been a problem for them. And a lot of old people in those countries as well, especially Italy. I think they have the oldest population in Europe. And they're suffering. So USA now are starting to feel it. China is way down the list there. I'm not even going to put it up. Let's look at China here. 46 new cases. This is a country of over 1 billion people. They've got 46 new cases.
It's crazy.
And 6 deaths.
It's absolutely crazy.
They went through a serious lockdown. But you know what? It worked. Or it's working.
Well, China's got a different society. Yeah, China's got a different society. If the government tells its people to do something, they will respect it and do it. I mean, you could say it's a, you know, dictator, communist state, or whatever you want to say about it. But at the end of the day, it's got an amazing system in place to deal with these kind of issues. And you'll see that they will fight it and they will overcome it, which they are. I mean, you know, somewhere like England now, where people are still going to the beach, people are still going to arcades and all this nonsense. You know, that's the issue, and it's really frightening where we're going with this, and it's a shame that we're not a bit more like China when it comes to this. I mean, you know, obviously in these pandemic stages, we need to be strict, because otherwise it's gonna turn into something nasty.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in Qatar, it's you know, we're a country of multiple nationalities, multiple religions, but when it comes to the government, the authorities telling us something, then, you know, there is an immediate reaction. That's usually for anything, whether they change a legislation in the labor law, or whether it's all restaurants, all public gathering places are to shut down. Try and remain home as much as you can. And you know, I really commend what they've done, because they've really acted quickly. They didn't waste any time. And even in malls now, the grocery malls that are open, they have on the floor actual red strips that indicate 1.5 meters distance between the person in front of you at the checkout. That's how directional they're being. So they're quite serious on not making this an outbreak here, because we're a small population. If there's an outbreak here, it could be quite bad. And there's a lot of smokers here. Underlying health problems. It could get them quite seriously. So everyone's taking it seriously here. We're trying to find ways to work from home. A lot of my friends are working from home and just sitting tight. The funny thing is, you always hear about people complaining being at work. Oh, when's the next public holiday? And then when you're told to not work and chill, like we just got to kind of have a pause, stay home, people are crying about it. Like they're dying to go to work. It's the irony is.
Yeah, I think as well that I think the important point as well is a lot of people have lost their jobs, especially we've got a big freelance self-employed community in the UK, and it's completely shattered a lot of people's businesses and dreams. I mean, I started my own company this year. It was an events company, and it's probably the worst time to do it. It's all on hold. We just can't continue. But people have been made redundant. There's businesses that have closed. People in hospitality, anything that involves, gatherings and social interactions is going to be affected. And this is worrying. I think it's going to really be telling on where we end up.
Yeah, I think people need to start focusing on what's next. How can we be smart in this situation and try and envisage, because this pandemic will pass. This is not going to last forever. We're not going to be locked down forever. Restaurants are not going to be shut forever. And if we kind of follow the guidelines, I think we'll be okay. But what happens after that? Loads of people have lost their jobs. I mean, Qatar is very event driven. We've got a World Cup here in a couple of years. So there's a lot of events here and conferences and sport events. So this is really going to hurt Qatar. But people need to thinking about what's the world going to look like after this. It's not going to be the same, in my opinion, because we can't let this happen again the way it's happened, because we know another virus will come about, whether it's a flu virus or a mutated version of another virus. It's coming. It might be sooner than we think. So we really need to look at how we live our lives. Maybe door handles won't exist in the future. Like, we're not going to be touchy all the time. But people need to start looking at what are the skills, what's the future in business, what's the future in events. Online streaming, I've seen a big pickup now. I think over the next couple of weeks, people are going to be gathering and talking and socializing, or even networking and doing business. Let's see what happens. But I also think it's up to the people as well. I mean, the governments will introduce new kind of legislations and rules and regulations on how we can improve the situation, so it doesn't happen again. But also the people, we also have a responsibility to demand stuff that we need. We need a better healthcare system that will be able to fight this. We need to look after and invest in our doctors and nurses and scientists that can help, with all this, and just things that are going to change. I think for normal kind of, I work in marketing, advertising. Brands need to have a bit more social responsibility. This capitalist society that we live in isn't really working at the moment, and it's collapsed. And so we do need to redefine how we do business, how we. I think that the important thing that I've realised sitting on my own for a week in a room is, that the amount of selfish people that exist in this world, and I think that's the problem. We don't think about the neighbour. We don't think about, we're more than happy to take the last loaf of bread, even if there's an old lady there that needs it more. These are signs that we're not in a great place, and I think hopefully we need to kind of reflect on that a bit more as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Before we wrap up, I think. Yeah.
As I said to you a couple of days ago, if we look into the universe, if we look into existence, there's an equilibrium, right? there's hot, there's cold, there's male, there's female, there's light, there's dark. There's a scale, and I think if you tip the scale on either side, it's a negative outcome. So I think we've definitely gone beyond the balance. I think human beings, if planet Earth was a living organism, we would be the virus, and it's been.
Well, yeah, you could. I mean, it is a living and breathing organism if you think about it.
Exactly.
The Earth is a living thing. It sustains us, and if we don't look after it, then it's going to spit us out. So these are things that we need to acknowledge. But I don't know if we're ready yet. Even with this Corona stuff, it's for some people it's just going to emphasize their selfishness even more.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people talking, and some of the things they're saying is just like you're really thinking about the wrong things. Maybe they're in a state of mind of fear. I see a lot of real fear, and so a lot of people, when they're in fear, they project a more aggressive tone just to kind of balance that fear that they have inside of them, and that's the wrong way to go. They shouldn't be fearful. Most of us will be fine from this. Let's protect the weak. Let's protect the elderly. And yeah, I think we need to really have a serious look at what we're doing on Earth, how we're treating it, and how we're treating ourselves. Both you and I were smokers. Looking back and thinking, what the hell were we doing? Like, really? It's shameful. So even small things like that makes a big difference. Let's eat healthily. Is the most important thing. If you're going to stay home,
look after your immune system.
There's plenty of fitness guys. I've got loads of fitness friends. Rashid is, they're bringing.
So what's your excuse? Yes.
Exactly. Like I said, we. I'm saying we. I'm saying we. But there's plenty of fitness trainers now that are going online to give live sessions at home, and let's get involved. Let's get fit inside. Go for a jog. On your own. Go for a jog. No problem with that at all. Actually, the air is cleaner. So
well, it is now. Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for that, man. Hope you.
Yeah. I mean, just a final few things for me, because I didn't really focus on too much on how other things that I've been doing to keep myself or strengthen my immune system. So, I mean, I've been doing a lot of. Sorry.
What's working? Have you seen anything that you've done?
Well, I mean, I've been taking paracetamol is the savior of the day, to be honest. Don't take ibuprofen. I've got a friend who has also got corona. He said ibuprofen is made him feel worse. And I've also spoken to a friend whose sister is a nurse in France, and she says the same thing. There's young people that are suffering repercussions for taking ibuprofen. So I stay clear from that. Paracetamol worked wonders for me. So do that. Drink lots of fluid. Obviously, take your vitamins, eat your fruit, your vegetables. Don't eat any junk food. I've been taking black seed, which is an old school kind of remedy for pretty much everything. And that's taking that twice a day. I've been doing a lot of research online when I've had the energy to try anything really, because when you're on this much pain, you just want to try anything. And I did some heat therapy yesterday, which was basically breathing in hot air from a hairdryer. That sounds really stupid, but a friend sent it. Well, someone sent it to me on Facebook after I posted, and I just touched my face. I'm touching my face, but I can do because I've got corona, right?
Yeah, you can touch your face all you like.
I can touch my face. So breathing hot air, because viruses don't live. I mean, you can see in Africa, they're not having masses of issue in Africa because it's warm climates. Viruses don't like warm climates.
No, they don't.
So heat is have lots of steamy hot showers, and this heat treatment I did was basically a hairdryer in my face, essentially. 5 minutes taking a deep breath through your nose, and then getting that hot air in your system.
Another method I tried yesterday, actually, because I'm congested anyway as a smoker. Is I got a bowl, boiling water, half a lemon, squeeze the hell out of it, and then slices of ginger. Got a towel, and just remain there for a few minutes. Took that in, and then obviously you need a breath because it gets quite hot. And afterwards, man, it definitely did clear my sinuses immediately afterwards. And I don't think there's anything wrong with inputting the vapor of lemon and ginger into your system via vapor. Viruses travel via vapor, so let's give it back to them that way as well. Obviously, this is not like a authenticated medical instruction, but even this is an old school thing. I remember, people have been doing this for years, covering their head, putting some Lemsip or whatever that blue stuff was called. What's that blue stuff called? The
Vicks.
Vicks, right? And getting under a towel and doing that. So that's kind of an ancient thing.
Yeah, do all the normal stuff you'll do for a flu. And I think at the end of the day, no one's giving us information on what to do when you're self isolating. The doctors and the press is just saying paracetamols, but do all the other things. And there's so many conflicting information online. I read one that garlic doesn't do anything, but we all know garlic is a superfood. Take your garlic, take your ginger, take your turmeric, garlic, ginger, juice, vitamin C. Take them all, take everything, because you're going to need everything to fight this. And that's only if you even feel it. But for those that are pretty unwell, then you've got to try everything, because your body is going to be on full fight mode.
And one major point to finish off with is your health is important, your physical health, but your mental health is just as important. Stress, fear makes your immunity weaker. It's as simple as that.
Totally.
So if you're going to be in a panic and you're going to be in a stressful, smokers, if smokers are stressed, you're going to smoke more. So, you really don't read too much into what the media is saying. All the media outlets are fighting for the attention of viewers at the moment. Who's got the biggest news? And, they're having a field day. This is what, we see this in movies, but it's actually real life now. So, don't panic too much. It's important that people that are suffering like you get online, post a video, give us your details of your symptoms, let us know what's been working, what's not been working. We're not having enough of this. We're seeing it on news. So news stations are getting people that have recovered from it and speaking to them. But normal people are not doing this. We're being selfish. We're not sharing our insights. We can create communication that's going to be effective for the masses, which is us. We're not the media. We're not the rich and wealthy sitting in their mansions. They're actually now craving for attention. They're all posting their, at home.
Yeah, this is it really, because you've got all the pharma companies, and you've got all the media. They all have their own agendas. So there's conflicting information out there. So which is not helping anyone. So if you've got corona and you've been diagnosed, share your experiences with people, because they really need the information. I'm not doing this for any other agenda apart from just trying to educate people with my experience, my personal experience. And if I can help anyone, that'll be amazing. And it's amazing how many people need this info. I posted on Facebook, and it's people have just sending me questions every other minute. So if you can share your story, please do, because it will help others.
All right, man. Thanks, bro. Look after yourself. Get well, sleep, and do all that.
I will try.
And
I'm on the mend.
Alhamdulillah, man. Let's get you fit, and at least then you have your antibodies created for this particular virus, and you'll be stronger the next time it comes round, which will probably be at the transition of seasons at the end of the year. So I think I think everyone's waiting for summer to come, and hopefully this will make it die down, inshallah. But people need to act right, look after your elders, your parents. If you are sniggling with a little bit of a runny nose or a bit of a cough, stay in your room. Let the people know that you live with. Let people know that you have something, and to steer clear. It's very simple. If you got a flu, you wouldn't normally be up in your mum and dad's faces anyway. So let's just take more caution when we have this particular flu, because this is a little bit more contagious. The virus won't kill you. The virus will not kill you. Your underlying health problems will. All right, it will always catch up. Smoking, drinking, eating shitty foods. This is common sense, and this information has been with us for a long time. So we should feel ashamed of ourselves for not being cautious before this. So inshallah it will change. And get well, bro. I'll speak to you later.
Cheers. Thank you. Good luck.
Peace.
Thanks, man. Take it easy. Alaikum salam.